Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. How's it going? I am Christy. That is Matt. That is Alonso. It's April, but summer's here because Godzilla and Kong are beating the shit out of each other and destroying all of Hong Kong. Woo!
Godzilla versus Kong. This is the matchup we've been waiting for. Oh no, you got your giant ape in my giant lizard movie. Hey, you got your giant lizard in my giant ape movie. Two great giant monsters that taste great together. So turns out that Kong has been living on his island all by himself. He needs to be moved someplace because something about a hollow earth. But they're afraid to take him out because Godzilla will come looking for him because I guess there's bad blood. One's a shark, one's a jet. That shit doesn't go, one's a Montague, one's a Capulet. Shit's gonna go down, man. Then it also turns out they both had mothers named Martha. Unbelievable. That was surprising.
Nick and I made that joke this morning, actually.
I'm sure everyone has. So in moving Kong, they drug him up, they take him to Antarctica, and on the way, Godzilla shows up and they start fighting from boat to boat. It's a little like Frogger because they go jumping around from boat to boat. And then that stops, and then there's fighting later, and there's something about going in the middle of the center of the earth, and it's loopy. Look, like if you're coming for big giant monsters fighting each other, you get some scenes of that. Not as much as I would have liked. There's a lot of talking.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talking, and a lot of talking before getting to the monsters fighting. Right? I mean, Pacific Rim, which a lot of people are going to compare this to, you get monster fighting right off the bat. And this one, it's like 30, 40 minutes.
Look, I will say up front, for anybody who wants to dismiss what I have to say about this film, I loved 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. I know it got shit on critically, didn't make a lot of money. I think that for me is as close as Hollywood has gotten to making a kaiju movie and doing it right and balancing out enough plot and enough human beings we care about with cool giant monster battle shit.
More so than Pacific Rim?
My thing with Pacific Rim is that I thought it was too dark. Like I saw it in a screening room at Warner Brothers where ostensibly they would know how to project it. And I felt like the whole movie was either raining or at night or at the bottom of the ocean. I couldn't see anything. So that was my frustration with that. I'm about to watch it again for Who Shot You. So we'll see if my mind changes. But anyway,
turn up the brightness on your screen.
You'll be fine. I really liked Godzilla King of the Monsters. And this one, I felt like it's like you don't get enough of the human beings to give a crap about anything they're doing, but then you also get too much of them if we're not going to really pay them much attention and we're just there to get to the monster fighting. And then once you do get to the monster fighting, it's fine, but it didn't blow me away. Nothing in this movie blew me away. I was just sort of like, oh, this is it almost felt like a place filler before we were going to get to the next big chapter, but I thought this was the next big chapter. So, and if you're here for Godzilla, like prepare to be disappointed. This is so much a Kong movie. Like most of the plotting is about Kong. They barely do anything with Millie Bobby Brown this time around. You don't get the Godzilla roar. You don't get the Godzilla theme music.
But then there are other homages elsewhere.
There are other things that pop up.
I guess I don't want to give things away.
No,
but
I don't either.
There are homages to
there's a nice legacy character that pops up.
It's not just Godzilla versus Kong.
Right. But
we can say that.
I just, I love these movies on paper, and I grew up watching them, and I thought Shin Godzilla was great. And I liked the last American one, but this one just didn't grab me.
So I think a lot of why I enjoyed this more than you guys did is because I went and saw it in a theater.
Well, yeah.
Oh, this would play much better on a big screen.
And that's exactly why I went. Because I'm like, we can watch it for free at our house at HBO Max, but let's go do it.
And it's the second movie you've seen in a theater in the last year. So there has to be, like, you could have seen something fairly shitty, and I think the experience would have elevated it because of the novelty of it, right? I mean, we've all been stuck at home.
This is the first movie that Nick has seen in over a year, because the last thing he saw with me in a theater was My Spy on March 11th a year ago. I can't recall So it's spring break around here. So Nick's off of school and Chris took the week off of work. And Chris loves all these movies too. Chris loves, I mean, Creature from the Black Lagoon, any like dumb creature feature movie he loves. And so I wanted us all to go. I couldn't recall the last time the three of us had been to the movies together. So part of that was like, that was really cool for us to all go together. And I cannot imagine seeing this at home on my TV and enjoying it as much. I mean, part of what is enjoyable, this is why you go to the movies, for the giant spectacle of it, for the sound design. I didn't realize when I bought our tickets, I bought them for a 2:00 matinee just because that was the best time for us schedule wise, that I bought it for a Dolby cinema. So it was like, our butts were vibrating with like every thump and every roar. And Chris goes,
rattling bass.
Chris goes to me, is the whole movie going to be like this? Yeah, sorry. It is. So if you want the sense around, it's available. It was just
also,
so much
so
fun.
best results is to go and see this with Chris and Nick Lemire.
Well, if you can swing it.
Those of you who know anything about me or know anything about this show or anything I do, like taking Nick with me to the movies is a huge part of our life and a huge thing we bond over. And so to be together with him again and like giggling and just like clapping and, you know, shouting.
No, absolutely.
I
can
fun.
Confirm Nick is a terrific movie buddy. Absolutely can confirm.
Thank you.
He will sit next to me. He will demand that he sits between you and I.
True.
Has to sit next to me sometimes, and we'll like nudge each other. And yeah, he's a good movie buddy.
He is. Thank you for saying that. I'll pass that along to him. But you know, and he's watched Stranger Things, so he knows who Millie Bobby Brown is. And we just clapped at how silly it was the whole time. Having said that, yeah, this is not a very good movie and it is way too talky and it's like an hour and 53 minutes long. And the pace would just drop precipitously every time they cut back to Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henry, who is always great. And he's very funny in this. But that whole subplot with the two of them and Julian Dennison, the New Zealand actor who was in Deadpool 2. Meanwhile, back in Hong Kong or wherever they are.
Right.
I mean, it's not as much fun as watching giant monsters beat the crap out of each other.
This movie is stupid with two O's.
Yeah.
Stupid, right?
Yep.
And unfortunately, there's a lot going on that it made me think of kind of an old school Irwin Allen disaster movie in all the worst ways. Right? Like, but in all the worst ways. Like you've got this big cast and everybody's got to get their little scene and you're cutting back and forth and it's sort of is supposed to drive the plot, but it doesn't matter. Like, we don't really need anything more than just like, man, put them in the same spot and let them fight it out. Like, and this movie really did need probably 50% more fighting than we get. That's my biggest disappointment is that there's just, you know, like I need more than just the couple of bouts we get. The other thing is, and I'm not going to give anything away, but don't introduce one particular element as far as language is concerned, and then not explore that or use it in any meaningful way.
Right.
They do. It matters at the end to communicate
not
stuff.
Like it should have.
Yeah, you get Demián Bichir as Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84, basically. Brian Tyree Henry is a treasure. I adore him. He gets saddled with some comedy relief lines that are like no one could sell this, you know, like just dumb stuff that's supposed to be funny. Julian Dennison is and Millie Bobby Brown for the most part just kind of along for the ride. You know, Rebecca Hall, like a vastly overqualified cast, and it's like, again, this is the franchise that trotted out Juliette Binoche only to kill her in 2 minutes. So, you know, I guess this is what we're in for, but. Yeah, I just I thought the last one was gearing in a direction that I liked, and this one just felt like a letdown in so many ways.
Millie Bobby Brown, at like 3-4 different times, has to say to somebody, usually her dad, Kyle Chandler, "But Godzilla came to help us and save us." Like, and it's almost like the movie knows how dumb it is, and it keeps making her say the same dumb expository thing over and over again. That's like her whole purpose. And Brian Tyree Henry is this conspiracy theorist podcaster.
I was going to say, we should point out that the thing in movies now, if they want to paint your character as being kind of an obsessed lunatic and sort of a loser, they make him a podcaster. I see what you're doing, Hollywood. I see you.
He podcasts from the front seat of his car, though. We don't do that. We have like production value.
Yeah. Until we do it from a pool.
Exactly.
We should mention that Adam Wingard directed this. And I feel like, you know, this is the thing where a filmmaker will make like a horror movie or two or like an indie drama or two, and then they'll get the big franchise.
Right.
And I am impressed with the fact that this did not seem to get away from him in terms of the big action spectacle. We talk about movies like the Transformers films, where you can't tell who's doing what to whom, and it's just like punchy, punchy, crunchy, crunchy.
It's definitely lucid in that
right.
way.
You can follow, and it's not all at night. I mean, some of it is at night, some of it's underwater, but you can always see what's happening. Right. You can always see
there.
The destruction of Hong Kong is very exciting. It's really, really cool. And this sounds like a terrible thing to praise a movie about. You can follow it. You can follow the fight scenes, but it doesn't get away from him.
You can't take that for granted. No, you're right. There's a lot of movies where that doesn't work at all. But yeah, Wingard, I can't wrap my head around him because like he made, You're Next, which is great, and The Guest, which I still need to see, but everybody says is great. But then he did that shitty Blair Witch reboot. And now this, and I'm like, I don't know what side my bread is buttered on with this guy. Like it seems very kind of hit and miss, but we'll see where it goes.
I feel like he's going to be okay with this. I think this is not going to be like Colin Trevorrow messing up. What did he
Jurassic,
mess up? One of the Jurassic World movies.
Yeah. No,
I think this is going to do well, and people are going to like it.
People are digging it. I mean, it's got like above 80% on that website, but like I'm just not feeling it.
Question though, because at least at home, there was no shawarma. Is there any shawarma in the theater?
You know what? We didn't even stay for shawarma because I had read on Twitter that there's not any. So I didn't. So there's not, to my knowledge.
Does not bode well for the studio's confidence in this continuing on in this world.
Or maybe they feel like Kong got his movie, Godzilla got his movie. Here they are together. Let's move on to the next iteration of this. Eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
they got to get the rights to Gamera. Or not, I'm sorry, Gamera. They got to get the rights to Gamera.
Different studio. I think I kind of feel like at this point, most of the major players have now been put on the board. So there's really nothing else to tease out the way that the previous shawarmas in this cycle have. I don't see them walking away from this. I think they've got their hands on something. And I think given that this is a movie that people are running out to theaters to see, relatively speaking, and apparently is doing great guns on HBO Max, I'm sure we haven't seen the last of the legendary Monsterverse.
A couple things also besides the cool little Easter eggs and things that I don't want to spoil. There are stylistic touches here that are nice little homages to these kinds of movies, like a sudden push in on Godzilla's face or King Kong's face, or like just staying in there and like letting Godzilla just kind of start to smile at you.
Well, Godzilla's face,
very old school. Go ahead.
Godzilla's face moves a lot more than we're used to seeing, even in the CG versions. Like it seems to be a lot more expressive, and he bites a lot more in this movie than I think I've ever seen him do.
Right. One of the fights
Godzilla has teeth. I hadn't really thought about it. It's usually all about the atomic breath, but like chomps a lot in this film.
One of the big fights, I turned to my wife. I'm like, he's very bitey.
Also, I want to mention real fast, because we talked about it a bit in the news section. I felt totally safe going back to the theater. We went to a 2:00 showing at the AMC here in Rolling Hills, and it's one of the theaters with like all big reclining seats, and so they're all really spaced out anyway. And there was nobody in our row. We sat in the very, very back right, like we always do. Mm-hmm. Nobody in our row, nobody in front of us, in the row in front of us, like way far down that row. So it was really spaced out. We didn't take our masks off, we didn't buy popcorn, and I felt great. I wasn't nervous or on edge at all. I felt like it's doable, if people
did the theater post any kind of announcement about ventilation? Because I know AMC has been whenever possible, we've upgraded to medical blah blah blah, and I just would like to know whenever is.
I did not notice it, but I also wasn't looking for it. I wanted to just like get on in and get going. So maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but we had our masks on the whole time, and we were not anywhere near anybody at all remotely, and we like left immediately.
Next time I'm in theater, I'll be asking the manager.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen.
I need to know. I need to know. It's important.
That is a place to Karen out. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
no, but it was really fun, and it was good to go back. And I feel like in that kind of setting, it's gonna be okay.
Cool.
There you go. So what are our numbers then?
I said 5.5. I really wanted to like this more.
Matt?
Yeah, it's fine. I give it a 6. It's fine.
Okay. I'm saying 7. And again, my number is high just because I had fun. Our number is a 6.2. Godzilla vs. Kong came out on Wednesday. It is out there for your consumption. It's also on HBO Max if you'd rather watch it at home.
Better with the butt rattling, apparently. So
If you want your butt rattled.
I mean, I
right.
suppose it depends on your couch.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all the social medias at BeFastAllDay, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, lots of other cool stuff coming up exclusively for our subscribers. So check that out, won't you? Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.